see that we have a quorum present.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we do have a quorum.
Having a quorum present, I declare this meeting open. Lonnie Waters, will you lead us with an invocation, please?
Lord, we give you thanks for being able to come out tonight. Lord, we just ask you to watch over everyone. Watch over the Chastain family, Lord, who has lost a family member, a past employee of the city of Jasper. We ask you to be with them. Lord, as we go through this meeting, just guide us, direct us to be your will in the betterment of the city of Jasper. Amen.
Amen. Ms. Anson, would you lead us in our pledge of allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Kirk Bradfield is not with us in person tonight, but he is with us on Zoom. So if you see me waving, I'll be waving to Mr. Bradfield here to get his attention on something. So just to let everyone know. Council, you have in front of you our agenda. I will entertain a motion at this time to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion by council? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And the motion carries unanimously. Our first item under old business is the public hearing as a consideration of a variance to the zoning ordinance 2022-04 for 3622 Camp Road, which is all of us in this room probably know is the old bargain barn. Lonnie Waters, will you bring this to us, please?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The bargain barn has went out of business, and the U-Haul company has purchased the building. They're renovating the inside, and as a retail store, like the bargain barn was, they needed numerous parking spaces, and so the parking lot is quite large. As a U-Haul and warehouse, they do not need as much parking, but they need room to park the U-Haul trucks that they rent out, their trailers, and they're going to be moving forward with that. But what they're asking to do is to lower the number of parking spaces from 108 down to 20. They have other facilities and other areas that have over 1,000 parking spaces, 1,000 units. This one's gonna have 850. And they just don't use that many because their customers are coming and going. They're not stopping and shopping and staying in there. So staff recommendation is based on the analysis of this application using the standards and criteria found in section 94-210 of the zoning ordinance. Staff recommends approval of the request of the parking variance for the current existing business only. They will also bring in a letter before council Monday that will state that if they ever sell this business or building and the use changes from a U-Haul company to maybe another retail store, that the purchaser will need to be evaluated and the parking would have to follow city ordinances at that time. So the future of this is as now a U-Haul dealership, or in the future with the amendments to the parking or some new business that changes the use. One of the representatives is here, if y'all have anything that you want to ask him. And he also has some booklets or diagrams. I think there's some already on the podium up there. So, that shows
Does
you
everyone
what,
have one of these?
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please state your name so that all here will know.
Sure. I'm Doug Weston, and I'm with U-Haul.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
welcome, Mr. Weston.
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me, and I'm happy to be here to present this to you. We're, of course, extremely excited to be a part of Jasper. Having bought the old Barn building, we know that that's a landmark here in Jasper. And still to this day, I think it's been closed at least 2 years, if not longer. We still have people that roll in every day looking for the old barn. I mean, I think everyone in the southeast probably knows this building, so we're definitely happy to be here. I think all of you have a book that shows some renderings of what we would like to do with the building and how it's going to look. And you can see we're going to try to keep as much of the look of that building as we can while incorporating just a little bit of our own branding and imaging along with it. So people do recognize that even though it's a landmark in the old Barn building, it's also going to be U-Haul as well. So, but with all this development, of course, we learned that we were going to be required to have a lot more parking on this site than we were really going to need. There's a table all the way in the back of this book. We'll just kind of jump all the way back there. It's a use comparison that shows exactly how many trips go into each different type of business. And you can see here a fast food restaurant through the week, over 3,000 cars for trips pass through there a day. Gas stations, over 1,200. Hotels, over 900. Casual dining, over 1,000. Our typical U-Haul store gets about 31 trips a day, through the week, throughout a 12-hour time period. About 53 trips on a weekend, which would be our busiest day. That comes out to somewhere between 4 and 6 cars an hour. So we just don't need 108 parking spots here. It's going to be way overkill. And of course, we'd like to maximize the use of that land as much as we can. So flipping back through the book, about midway through, you can kind of see what our proposed layout is. Of course, this will have to go through planning and zoning and get approval, but it's the one that's at the top. It's titled Georgia Highway 515. Looks like this right here in the middle. Right. And that's kind of our proposed use and how we would lay a lot out, and along with our parking, our equipment shunting, and also some exterior storage as well. So, but in a nutshell, that's what we're looking to do, and just kind of reduce the parking requirement down to about 20 spots, and just maximize the use of the entire property. So, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
So council, this would be a variance with conditions that would apply specifically to this business and would revert back to the previous state should you all ever sell this business to someone in the future. So you would obviously have to disclose to them that that zoning process would revert.
Yes, sir.
So, council, any questions?
This restriction, would it be recorded on a deed, on property records in any way?
Honestly, I'm not sure, but if it needs to be, we can arrange for that.
How many employees do you have?
Well, right now we have 5 total. We estimate we're going to have somewhere, once we're in full operation and totally ramped up, between 15 and 20.
And where will you be parking your U-Haul trucks and stuff?
The trucks, looking at the layout, you'll see some lanes that are kind of on the south side of the property there. That's where we're going to shunt our equipment. So the way we work it, we don't park them, say, in individual parking spots. We run them through lanes, and then we kind of receive them and dispatch them from those lanes.
Okay.
So, first of all, I'm a regular user of U-Haul, by the way, and so,
Thank you, sir.
tried them all. So how are you going to utilize the space that you're not going to be using for parking? I was, in full disclosure, I was over there several weeks ago after making a trip, dropping the trailer off, and there were quite a few, I don't remember the number, 90 or so storage buildings under construction there. And so I'm just kind of curious how you're going to be using this space that is not going to be utilized as parking.
Yes, sir. Our hope and our intention is to use the space we're not going to have for parking for self-storage. And the buildings that you saw there, it's a Janus product. They're a portable relocatable. So they come in as a kit. We assemble them right on site. The beauty of those individual buildings, of course, they're all set right next to each other, is we can move them with a forklift, which we do have on site. So if, for example, we have to change the layout, we can easily maneuver those buildings around. If it turns out that we're not gonna be able to get them all on there, we can just, they come as a kit, so we just disassemble them and we'll take them to another site. But our hope and our intention is to, as the layout shows in the book, have those buildings lay out just as they are.
And how many is that gonna be?
It's 126
Okay.
individual self-storage units.
And they're different sizes, I guess, several of them. Are they bolted together?
No, sir, they're not bolted together, and right now they're just sitting on blocks until we do get final approval from the city for the layout. And then, of course, we'll tether them down and then trim out the bottom so that they look like they're an actual permanent structure.
So they're anchored to the ground in some way?
They will be, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. That's all I'm there.
Any further questions, council?
Lonnie, is that a state requirement on how that's tethered? I know in mobile homes, there's some requirements around the type of tethering and so forth and so on. Do you know if it's?
I have not looked that up, but I will.
Okay.
I mean, I'll get you an answer yet.
Just want to make sure we don't send Dorothy off to Wizard of Oz.
We don't want that either.
Thanks, sir.
Any further comments? Council, I entertain a motion that we approve this variance to the zoning ordinance 2022-04 as a conditional variance for this particular loan.
Are you talking about with what he just asked Lonnie to look up on the table?
Nothing,
I think we can just follow all regulations, whatever the state or.
Okay, but yeah, that's
yeah.
what I'm asking about he wants that in the,
Not far as the tie downs and all, but
yes.
the ordinances, state should take care of that.
Okay.
I'd like to consider the restriction being asking that it be recorded so that if there was a change in ownership, it would be obvious that we would, that the property would have to go back to meeting the code.
Did you have that as a motion?
I'll make that as a motion that's approved with the restriction being recorded on property records.
Okay, second. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion by council? All in favor, please say.
Whoa. So you had mentioned that it has to go back through planning P&Z?
No, it's already went through.
Okay, I thought you had mentioned that.
No, it's already gone.
Yes, well,
What he was saying was the approval of those pods that's out in the parking lot now, that has been assembled there. That's what he wants us to look at and approve as part of the parking lot design. That will be brought back, not the parking spaces.
so we'll have more opportunity when those come
Right.
through to make sure.
This
the
is just
regulations-
for the parking places.
Okay, good, right.
I'll get variance on that, okay,
Okay, so this is motion's only on the variance,
Yes.
right.
to allow less parking.
This is a public hearing.
Thank you.
It's a public hearing.
Thank you.
You don't vote. You take comments.
So this is first public
You
hearing.
take comments from the audience.
Okay, is there any comments from the audience on this?
Sorry.
Sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm too close to vacation. Which happens.
Second public hearing this on your right. Doesn't
Right,
P&Z
and then you
count
will
The
take
NC
action on it on Monday night.
Gotcha.
You will vote
This will
it on
be-
Monday night. This is
Okay.
your second
Thanks.
public
Thank you, ma'am.
hearing. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Y'all's had us.
Absent any further,
So you need to vote the motion down that you currently have on the floor.
I'd like to
because
pull
then
the
you-
motion,
You need
my
to
motion.
have your public hearing instead, so,
that motion has been pulled.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And at this point, we will close that public hearing on that variance. All right, under new business, moving forward, discussion of outdoor store and tap room. I'll ask the owners to come forward that are trying to present this to us and let them tell us about their business idea.
And we, you guys
Right there is fine.
Variance.
Write your something.
No Caribbean beers?
Not yet.
Sorry.
You gotta open before that, right?
Beer,
Thank you.
beer.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
This is not good. Okay, please identify yourself to us all.
I'm Lauren Bills. This is my husband, Tim Bills. We are residents of Jasper. We're going on 5 years now. We want to be a part of Jasper for a while. We want to make it more of a destination. You know, and it is right now. It's already a destination. That's why we're here. We love it. We want to be a part of that, and which is why we want to open a business here in downtown. You had some other stuff in there.
Yeah, so in saying that, we want to obviously provide some more value in that destinational aspect, bringing people here. So one of the things we noticed recently, well, not recently, but just over the past couple of years, you know, is that obviously there's no bargain barn anymore. And this area is definitely lacking some stuff for people that come for doing fishing, hiking, canoeing, kayaking, you name it. As well as guide services. So one of the things that we've decided to try to venture on is to create a business that could help facilitate those needs around outdoor gear, fishing gear, guide services, as well as have a destination for these folks to come and potentially do seminars within the facility, and also while they're there be able to refresh themselves within our tap room. And that would be obviously catering to the local breweries, providing like, you know, what Penley Creek has, and then also small like dishes as far as sandwiches from local sandwich shops, like Mary's Bread Basket, for instance, something like that. But we want to essentially create something that's kind of a staple to Jasper. Right now, we feel that there's just nothing here for that. It's hard if you have to go to Blue Ridge to get anything. And given as much trout fishing that we see around here, we feel like there's definitely a need where people can go to get their equipment, as well as hiking equipment and stuff.
And learning about everything that is here in Jasper, all of the hiking trails, all of the trout fishing, all of the rivers and lakes that they can find out here. Because a lot of people, are going to Blue Ridge and LJ and they drive right through Jasper because, number one, we don't have an outdoor store here, and they might want to go hiking here, but they're like, oh man, I forgot my socks or whatever. But let's just go to LJ to get that because they don't have it here. So once they stop here in Jasper, they're going to start walking around, and and we're going to have, we already actually talked to a few people, a fishing guide that wants to come in maybe once a month, every Saturday, and he's starting his fishing business, so we, would work together with him. He could, have classes and guided trips and all kinds of stuff like that. Same with the hiking as well. So that's kind of what we're envisioning.
Yeah. Just really be able to provide more value around, as the foot traffic increases here, we feel that there's going to be obviously more people looking for these types of things to keep them here, rather than having, we can get that here, we got to go north, or we got to go down to Canton and get that kind of stuff. So that's really it in a nutshell.
Okay, so I'll ask council to, for any questions that they have. This is not an action item for us tonight. This is informative, and we need to go in depth to whatever questions we need to ask. Now, you are delivering, I think, a beer product also. Is that, so would you speak
Beer and
to
wine.
that a little bit?
Yes, so we're gonna, keeping with the local theme, we're gonna bring in craft beer from local Reformation Brewery, Creature Comforts, which is out of Athens, any kind of southeast beer. And then for those that don't drink beer, we'll have bottles of wine. Not in direct competition of the wine tasting room. We're not, our focus isn't, fine wine. We would offer that as well as an alternative. And then also the packaged food, like pretty much like the wine tasting room does now. They have the charcuterie boards, but we would be doing, getting daily selections of the pre-made sandwiches and, you know, stuff that they get as well.
So would you be asking for retail sales on site as well as, are you intending to wholesale any of this out?
We would love to sell, you know, craft beer as well in the cans and bottles, not kegs, but just, you know, even to offer more diversity in our selections.
Further questions, council?
Tell us more about your storefront and how you're planning on presenting it.
So today, next to the conservatory, there's a house, if you will.
That's commercial now.
Yeah, it's zone commercial now, and we've been in talks with the landlords there to make that our store. So there's a front porch on it. It's gonna be, I believe, across the street from where there's potential park about to go in, or we've heard about, not sure.
We've all heard about that part.
I'm sure we've heard about it in here as well.
But there's also a deck on the backside of that that we want to cover and offer a seating area, but mostly focus the front as well, and for the foot traffic, the park potentially.
So when you walk in, there's a few different rooms. One we're thinking might be more of like a sitting room because there is a fireplace in there, so it might be kind of like a working area, so people could come in. He's actually in IT, so he could do all the wireless and all that. But so it would be something, you know, that would make people stay and sit in our store for hours, hopefully, and work from there even. And then there's two other front rooms right there that would be probably, you know, hiking boots and shoes, focused on shoes, and then some other stuff focused on fishing, as well as jackets, coats, shirts, hats.
Clothing, shirts.
And then there's a back room, which is where we would have just a small bar. I don't even see it sitting more than like 8 people, I don't think.
Yeah, maybe. Our idea is not to have people sitting there all the time. It's just get something, walk around, go outside, hang out, create the outdoor feel of what Jasper brings. And with the view from that front porch, you see the entire mountain line or the scene right back here, and that's just relaxing to look at and just sit out and enjoy that.
So that building is where I received my sentence. After serving for a year, I received my sentence for my 4 years in my first term in that office. We had a little get together there, so no matter what I do, I seem to be, but do you have any experience in outdoor business, or is it an interest of yours, or what's stimulating this other than the burned bargain barn and the new bargain barn that's now long since gone because of lack of internet sales? What?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a passion of ours. So we are avid travelers. We kind of travel around the Southeast and around the United States for the most part. And one of the things that we always look for when we go to a destination is what's the outdoor stores, what's the local, you know, crafts look like in those areas. And that's always been a passion of ours, and it's just one of those things that's just been kind of burning in us, and we're like, let's do it. Like, there's nothing, we need something like that here, we feel like, and we feel it would be very successful.
In our background, so I said he's a wireless architect, I'm a project manager currently. I was a bartender for 20 years, and I was in retail for a little bit as well. And I'm always outside hiking and fishing, same with him.
I think the concept is great. I think that, you know, on having outdoor information, we don't have anything like that here, where you could offer outdoor information. Talking about the food, you're talking about getting your food from some other places. Is that
Correct. Right, we wouldn't have an open kitchen.
Right. It'd be prepackaged from a local distributor here, just like the wine room does. Source that in, prepackaged, that way it's all sealed, and then we keep that obviously on in a cooler, things of that nature.
So you, at one point in time, there was mention of food trucks. Is that
Yes.
still on the table, or?
Yes, as much as we can get them, we would do that. Yeah, and we have on-site parking for those, which is around back, so they wouldn't even be on the street at all.
It would probably be something that would be monthly,
Or weekends.
or maybe on a weekend. But we're not like, this is what we're gonna do, we're just gonna have food trucks, that's not what we're after. But
It'll
it's
be
gonna be like
addition.
a complement to the business and to offer that to the community as well.
So I think we're all intrigued by the idea, and I know Kurt Ratfield on Zoom, he and I have had conversations about it. And unfortunately, our attorney couldn't be here tonight. And there are some legal challenges that, based on our current ordinances that we have, but we're a fairly fast-moving organization that can change those ordinances once we are committed to the idea. And so I'm just telling you that because that's the reality. It doesn't necessarily, several years ago when we didn't have ordinances about wine tasting bars or breweries or distilleries or anything else. And I can share that if we make that commitment, we are a lot faster moving now than we were then. I don't know, that first brewery took a long time. And then, so it took so long, my gosh, we ran them off. But, I think there's also, we never really had any conversation about how we're gonna handle food truck traffic. And we've had restaurants here that had food trucks, and that's just something that, maybe you can help stimulate, that we go through that process, because we hope that will be part of a lot of the projects that we have going, some of them big and some of them small, I'm intrigued about, how many square feet is that building, do you know?
1,200.
1,200?
Yeah, that's the number that's
That's
in
cool,
my head.
cool office.
Yeah, it is. I love it.
It's a
perfect.
real homey feel like when you walk in, it's real
Yeah.
warm.
Cabiny, it's
Shiplap on the
outdoorsy.
wall.
Nice. Bargain it was an Orvis school, so when they were here, and their classic location was out on the highway, but, they would teach Orvis fly fishing.
Oh, wow.
And the owner was, kind of diverting, but she was on the board of Browning Farms, so it was a really cool place. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Something we aspire to do.
Yeah.
Okay, any further questions by anyone?
Kirk, you got anything?
He's
Give a
good.
Thumbs up.
He's good. Okay.
All right,
Thank you
thank you so
for
much
your
for bringing
time.
that to us.
Thank y'all.
We appreciate hearing about it.
Thank you.
Item 2 is consideration approval of closing Stegall Drive, May the 4th through May the 9th. I think that tacos and margaritas are the one that are asking for that date. And I believe Cinco de Mayo comes right in there, so that's what they're trying to do. And we do have someone here from, if you will come forward, please. And tell us what you're going to do during that time.
Okay, well, I'm Lupe, I'm with one of the owners of Tacos, LC Tacos. Obviously, Cinco de Mayo is a big day for us, so we were wanting to ask for permission if we're able to do something on Thursday. I know that's usually a day that's the street doesn't close, but if we get permission, we would do it obviously after 5 o'clock or so. I know that's a school day, so we're basically planning to have some live music out there. We're thinking maybe a DJ, maybe a live band, and we probably will cut the music down probably 9 o'clock, and that's basically the plan. We're planning to have like a bar, like a station bar, and our sidewalk, and like a taco stand as well.
Okay. Any question by council? Now, Sonia, is this, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask the question, have we had any contact with the school system in reference to, because it'll close off on their Friday?
We had talked
We
about,
actually will, if this is approved, we actually will contact the school system.
And let them know that.
And let them know that.
But I
it's
think that will
closed.
be in effect on one day, is that right?
If you're keeping it close to the 9th, it'll be, on Friday, yeah.
Friday.
Closing at 5
Yeah.
o'clock
Closing
Thursday.
that
Correct.
afternoon, then,
So
okay,
it'll be
But
effective
it'll be
school
closed
year
at
Friday.
5 o'clock on Thursday,
Right.
okay?
until Sunday, okay.
Until the following
Monday
Monday.
morning, like we normally, okay.
We had talked about doing it more, or permanently even, Sonia, did we?
We haven't,
Yeah, but I think we were waiting until,
We're actually gonna wait until, school's out, and then we're going to,
Discuss.
try to negotiate a permanent closure,
Okay,
with the school system.
that's off the
So,
agenda, but I
yes.
couldn't remember, so.
yeah,
Yes,
trying to let them get through the school year.
yes, sir.
okay, any further discussion by council? Questions? Kirk, you have any questions? At this point, I'd entertain a motion that we grant the request for closing of Stegall Drive between May the 4th and the 9th.
So moved. I'd like to make that motion with the approval, I mean, at least the contact, like, have them to contact the school,
system.
just to let them know, and they can let.
And just for clarification, what you're voting on is closing it on Wednesday, the 4th.
The 4th.
So it affects
Thursday
Thursday
and
school
Friday.
traffic and Friday school traffic. So just wanted to make sure you were clear on what you were voting on.
You know, I was through there today at 3 o'clock, and then the traffic really didn't start till way on down closer to the school, so,
Yeah.
but anyway.
Yeah, a lot of them are coming in because of the traffic on Main, they're coming
Right,
in the
they're learning.
Whitfield anyway,
They do.
they've learned that,
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
So it will affect Thursday school traffic and Friday
Right.
school traffic. Yes.
Okay.
Also, one more thing, we were thinking about having a live, like a DJ this coming up Saturday. Well, we don't know if that's even possible, or
A live DJ, I don't see any.
yeah.
We have bands down there already, so I've got no issues with that. Anybody
are
else?
you talking about on Stegall?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's gonna rain.
where it's,
Correct, yeah, rain.
Yeah.
So, we just wanna make sure that's okay.
City manager have any issues with?
No, the city manager doesn't, so. But you need to make a motion and second.
Can I make clarification of the sound
hey,
ordinance?
he's got a question, and I've got a question
So
for the
then what
DDA.
happens?
Does the DDA have anything? That's the other thing we need to
No.
verify with.
Kurt's waiting.
It's 18.
Mayor and council, the DDA does not have anything planned for that specific day that I'm aware of. What I would advise is that any usage or reservation of that area does need to go through the city manager and her staff as far as their calendaring of events. I do believe that that would be a secondary motion of that individual item by itself.
Okay.
That's already been done, and thank you. I'll entertain a motion, guys.
You want motion on closing, or you,
For the night.
okay, because I made that motion, we don't have a second on it.
I don't have a
Second.
second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Now to Kirk's discussion about, he wants to make that a part of a motion and a second, so that any further discussion on
Anything downtown?
downtown activity, and that would include DDA, will go through the city manager and staff.
We will create a permit process.
Awesome.
So as far as his question for this weekend, since we don't know of anything.
I don't have time to create a permit process.
Right, that's what I was just saying, maybe on this weekend, we can give him permission since we don't have anything, but in the future, we'll ask that it come through the staff, and she'll set the process up.
All right, great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, as to Kurt, do you want that in the form of a motion?
Sure, that would be great.
To authorize you to have that
Sure.
issue settled at the city manager level
Approval and disapproval of the events, yes.
of that space?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good deal.
I entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'd like to expand that to be the entire downtown area,
Sure.
a central business district. There may be other
Good idea.
locations would want to do the same. I'd like to be that, have that as part of the motion.
Okay.
And I would probably call it central business district rather than downtown.
I think that's a reasonable request.
Yeah, I like that.
So expand that motion into a second. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion. So are we included, so these type of events will not be necessary to come before council in the future, is that correct? Is that what you're possibly proposing?
If that's what
If that's what
council
we're
is
doing.
proposing now, that would be a function of the city manager's role. So if you trust your city manager to take care of that stuff,
I
then
think that would be a
absolutely.
fabulous idea, that it comes before him, not us.
We love seeing our businesses come in
We
here.
do.
At least
But it's
now
hard.
their knees don't bleed when they leave.
And that's no different than leading in the park. You've got a
Yeah.
procedure.
We have a
Sorry.
procedure for the parks.
And we've already got it set up with where they have to have the insurance and all that.
And that role's gonna grow, of course, but awesome. Thanks, sir.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Kurt, did you have something? Oh, okay. I thought he raised his hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And that now is a part of your additional duties, so.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Aren't you glad?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3 is Utility Systems Master Plan, and I'm really looking forward to this. I'll ask Sonia and Kim to bring this to us.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. So, as I've said before, the secret of our little jewel of a city is out. And as such, we have had numerous conversations and discussions about how to proceed cautiously and expeditiously on the development of our city and how that is going to affect our natural resources. Kim and I and parts of council and staff have met with numerous companies regarding producing a master plan for us, and we finally landed on a company that's not only going to do a master plan for our utility system, but they can also provide us assistance in our development process as well. And you have on your action form the list of items that they have proposed to do for the city of Jasper. So what I want to do now is give the floor to Jim Till. He is with GMC. This is the company that staff is recommending to council to vote on in order to conduct our master plan, to prepare us for years in the future and to provide us with data to help us make decisions as we grow. So I'll turn it over to you, Jim.
Sure, Sonia, Kim, thank you. Great to be with y'all. We've got a quick little handout. Maybe it'll help summarize what's in the 6 or 8 pages maybe that was submitted previously. This is simply an overview of the team that would be working on this. So that's the faces you see. And then on the right side would be our project goals, the commitments, the deliverables, if you will. We're trying to, here, sure, I'm gonna keep going. Thank you. So as Sonia said, we're a full-service engineering architecture firm, so opportunities like this really excite us. My background is in this area, so it's a lot of fun to try to pull together a holistic game plan of what we're trying to do. Obviously, y'all have a lot of growth opportunities, so now is the time to jump in and figure out where we are with our utility infrastructure, and then what is our game plan moving forward, and how do we best do that. So just briefly, so we'll start with doing some data gathering, but then we want to look at population demand projections. So really, where is this growth happening? Where is it going? And thus, what infrastructure do we have to have to serve that? So that then goes into the community growth plan. Accompanying all of this at the right time could be a rate study as well. Then folding in is the water sewer master plan. So all this really works well together. You got to know where commercial business, residential housing units are going to then understand your infrastructure, obviously, what you need to serve that. Also, cataloging the assets that you have currently, plus things we'll be putting in place. So let's get a game plan for that, and let's get a system. We have a team which will be led by Ed DiTomaso, who's on here, who specializes in the GIS asset cataloging. Development review procedure. So with all this enthusiasm here in Jasper, making sure that we have a process that can help assist y'all in things you're already doing, but that can assist you with this higher demand. So on the sheet, you'll see Katie Strickland, who is a licensed engineer, and her specialty is in the site civil component. And so any project that was coming, she would be available to help review what their proposed land use is and impact on the community, especially from a stormwater standpoint. The stormwater program assessment, again with growth, this is something we really recommend we think about. And so Courtney Wright leads that for us statewide. She's pretty well known, especially around Georgia, as being a real leader in stormwater. She's helped numerous communities, and so she would be part of this as well. We also listed some additional services that may be required, and those folks are listed at the bottom. Tony Vanderwright lives 20 minutes from here, and so if there were a need for construction inspection to supplement, again, if some of this happens at the rate that it potentially could, you may need some additional staff supplement to go out and review these projects. Art Flash was discussed. John Averett leads our in-house electrical group. But really, to jump back up, I would handle the project management of all. Obviously, there's a lot going on in this effort, and we're trying to do this in a pretty quick fashion in 4 to 6 months, so that because this development's ready to go and not slowing down. Curtis Barber he would be water and sewer lines. We look at those closely. Graham Sizemore has already passed his PE exam, but he's still finishing his time. He has 1 more month, then he'll be a PE. But Corky Welch would lead the rate study. Corky's been doing this for 30 years. That would be his role. Tony Reed, evaluating the treatment plants. And then John Rayford, who's listed on the planning, but John's real specialty is in modeling, so system modeling, hydraulics, and the planning component. So John's kind of in the planning and the water wastewater piece, so he would be part of this. Glenn Coyne, well-respected planner in the state of Georgia, again, so he would be leading the demand, population projection, all this kind of thing, and then working with our infrastructure team. So we marry those two. And I've already mentioned Ed and Courtney and the others. Our goal is to be very collaborative. And so the first thing we will do in this data request is we'll send a pretty lengthy RFI, and we'll come and we'll spend, hopefully, unless y'all kick us out, we'll spend a lot of time here with the city team members. And our goal is for this to be very collaborative. Same with you, as we get to points that make sense, milestone reporting information and where we are, to come to council meeting, come to a work session, whatever we need to do, and work together to develop this. At the end of the day, it's your community, and so we just want to serve. So that's a quick summary, but happy to answer any questions about this process. And we've done this. Oh, the other thing I should say is we do a good bit of this, especially the master planning, and so that's kind of looking at it from a lens, let's say, of 30 years, but then really trying to narrow that down into a 5-year CIP, so capital improvement plan for you, things that you more immediately might need to consider and you might want to tackle. And so that'll be really the summation of all of this, is creating that, and I think you have a better game plan. My point in saying that, though, is you can make this as elaborate and complicated as you want to. We just did one for a much larger community, if you will, and budget wasn't much of a concern. Now, I'm personally from a small town and understand that that isn't what you always have to do to kind of get to the crux of what you need to know, get the right information. So what we're proposing here is a game plan that gets us the right information without going over the top and unnecessary effort and cost. So that's it. Happy to answer any questions. Kim, did I miss anything? Okay.
Yes.
So when you get done with this plan, what will our city look like?
Well, that's what we hope to help you figure out. But the game plan, the purpose of this would be for you to understand the infrastructure you have in place currently, its capacity and its capability to serve. And then from there, looking at, I think you've approved something like 2,000 new home sites, if a little bit of information I have is correct. So how are we going to serve that? What's our game plan to get you there? And that's really what the 5-year CIP would help you do, is say, hey, in the immediate, how are we going to be prepared for this? And so I think you as a city would be far more prepared to meet the growing demand here in Jasper. And you would have a document, so if we all fell off the face of the earth, you would have a document that someone could step in and pick up and take and continue, and it wouldn't just be in someone's head. And as valuable as that is, you know.
So what's CIP stand for again?
I'm sorry?
What does CIP stand for?
Capital
Okay,
Improvement Plan.
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Duh. So, a little bit about your company. So, you say Southeast region, are you nationwide or what?
No, sir.
This is it.
We're just in the southeast. The little map on the back, that's just because the team we have proposed to work here in Jasper is heavily, obviously based in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Also some support in Augusta and Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay.
So that's why it's just focused there showing that. But yes, sir, we're about 400, a little over 400 people in the southeast. Our goal is to be a relationship first group, so to have kind of a regional presence. But folks like John Rayford, who have a PE and PhD, you'll hopefully get to meet John. You'll like him. He's not way up in the clouds. But my point in this is we do not have aspirations of being a national or international firm. That's nothing against those firms. They serve a purpose in our world. But that's just not who we are. And so we try to bring the right expertise to the table that you might experience at those firms. But they might have 12 John Rayfords and we have 2.
So I noticed that Cartersville, the city of Cartersville is one of your clients that are listed.
Yes, sir.
Are these current clients or this clients that you have served in the past?
A mixture of both, yes, sir. Some of these are people that we're currently working with, and in numerous of these cases, it's an ongoing relationship. And so I would point out Coweta Water and Sewer, Jay Bourne there. Jay and I talk regularly, and when they have a need, he might call and we'll handle it. But we've just finished up a project for them, so it's a mixture of both, yes, sir.
So your professional services, like inspections, would be on top of this contractual price?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, as needed, because it wouldn't make sense to give a lump sum at this point until you say what you need. Yes, sir.
That's come up before, early on in some of this. I think that's all I have.
Sonia, would the approval, eventually we'll vote to approve this, would you do it by task? Or would we approve, would the approval give, would it be for all 9?
So they presented an itemized list for us, in case city council wanted to set priorities and say we want to do this first, that first, and then as budget allows, do later initiatives as we had funding. We, as a staff, would recommend doing it all at once because they have the staff to do it, and we have people coming up the street wanting to develop as quickly as possible. And so we want to make sure we have all the knowledge and the scope in place to be able to answer their questions when they walk into the city limits. So we would recommend approving all of the functions at one time, all of the items at one time. But they did present it to us, other than the professional services, they did present it to us in items in case we wanted to pick and choose, because, as he said, he is from a smaller locality and he understands sometimes you have to make sacrifices on things you need and push them down the road. So that's how he approached our city quote in doing that. But from a staff's perspective, I believe we have the funding, and I believe we can't afford not to do this.
So you're saying that we would do the water and wastewater master plan, which we have had some discussions about that and look forward to, but at the same time, you want to go forward with GIS?
I am asking for us to do all of these components at the same time. They do have the staff to do it. It's not like one person would be doing all of these. And all of these are hitting our city limits at the same time.
So when you say do, what do you mean do?
Start the studies.
The study?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so
sir.
this is not going out and, okay.
No.
It's going to be a mix, I'm sorry.
No, absolutely. Go
So
ahead.
it's going to be a very interactive process. So, I mean, if we move forward together, pretty quickly, some of our team members would be here, and we'd all be getting together and gathering data and having discussions and again, learning more about some of this growth and different things we're having, really understanding the utility system, visiting the water plant, the wastewater plant, going and riding the system and looking at valves and pumps. I mean, just understanding the full system. That's going to be the first thing that happens. Simultaneously, you would have the planning group, in this case led by Glenn Coyne, who would start, and there's two different ways we approach that, but start looking at growth projections and start, so then you bring this information together, and then that's how you start to develop the water and sewer system, specifically the master plan, which you've got to catalog basically what you have currently, and then pair that with where do we think the city's going over the next 5, 10, 20 years, and then kind of the product of that 1 + 1 then is will equal.
Council, I am 100% in approval of this plan.
Sonia, can you elaborate just a little bit on having the money?
We do have the money. We have it in a special project fund, so it is available. We do have it, and I'm sure they wouldn't invoice us the total amount at one time. It would be incremental invoices as they completed certain projects. So we would be able to replenish our revenues as that went along. So
This kind of go together with what we've talked about with the future plan of the water system, the GIS system, putting all that together and being able to have that knowledge to go back to.
It does, and so by GIS and the assets, it's not only making sure that we know where things are, but it's also coming up with an asset inventory, knowing the life of that inventory, the condition, what kind of work do we need to invest in pumps or valves or large components of the plants, that sort of thing. So as we get further along the road and continue to do projects that may involve state revolving loans and funding from federal sources, we will be asked to provide information like that on the life of our assets.
So can I characterize it as saying we kind of figured out what we got and we've been working on that, and now they're going to supplement that in a tremendously professional way and also help us plan for what the future of the city looks like? Is that...
Yes, sir, that's the intent.
Are you saying it's like a roadmap?
There you go.
You mean like a plan?
Even better than a road map.
Yeah.
It takes you to places that we hadn't even thought of yet.
I will make one other little small caveat if I can. What drives me nuts, the word study is almost a cuss word in my dictionary, because studies to me are things that then get put on shelves, and then what do you do with it?
Right.
We got some of those.
So the real goal here, again, is to create a living, breathing, actionable document, a plan, again, the water model will be something that you can physically use. These are tools that can help the city now move forward, not just, we're going to do all this work, and we'll come in here and give a report to you, and then what do we do with it? So, I mean, this is an actionable item for you moving forward that has real value in our opinion.
So for the benefit of the public and council too, perhaps, we have an election going on, so all of a sudden we're hearing a lot about the comprehensive plan and so forth and so on. And of course, that's a document that comes out of the Department of Community Affairs, and ultimately their goal in their current strategy is out of that comprehensive plan, strategic plans come, and then also action plans. And so this is kind of a great partnership for that.
Yes, sir.
Now, do you want an action on this tonight to approve this?
Actually, I would like an approval of this so we can proceed as speedily as possible.
So moved. And any further discussion by council?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? Motion and a second, Jim. Any further discussion? Kurt? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I cannot tell you how happy I am with this stuff.
Look forward to working.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Item 5 is the City of Jasper branding project. And we're going to put these signs on.
Actually, it'll be item number 4.
Excuse me. Item 4 is utility system metering as a service.
Yes, sir.
And Sonia, if you will, bring this and Kim to us.
Absolutely. In keeping with the marching forward and trying to become more efficient and high productive in our managing of the city, City Council had some time ago before my arrival tasked staff with researching AMI and potentially going that direction. So since I have been here, staff, members of council have met with several companies regarding AMI, automated metering. And so through the course of those meetings, we were enlightened to a professional services type of operation called metering as a service. And we actually feel, and staff is recommending to City Council, that we proceed in this direction, and I gave you a quite lengthy action sheet on why the advantages of going this direction are. And we have with us tonight Scott McCrary and Brandon Lancaster from Consolidated Pipe. They are the company that we decided would work best with what our needs are as a city. And if you wouldn't mind, I can go ahead and address City Council.
Absolutely, thank you very much. My name is Scott. I'm with Consolidated Pipe. Project manager for AMI installations and metering as a service projects. And what we like to propose, bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you again. Ms. Sonia laid it out pretty plain and simple. What we're proposing here is a project where we include all of your water meters, your labor to install them, completely change out your system, and then include a 10-year professional services contract beyond that. Everything encompassed in that, all labor, materials, professional services beyond that are all included in your per month fee. And we will come in, install your system, we will deliver your meter readings by the date you specify, and we will make sure that all the radio transmitters are properly maintained under the manufacturer's warranty for the life of the system. That pretty much sums everything up as simple as I can get it. If you all have any questions, I'm here to answer whatever you've got.
Love it.
From a staff perspective, we just feel like this will free up our folks from being, to be able to go out and take care of things that they haven't necessarily been able to before. And as the labor market continues to get tighter and tighter, we need to make more efficient use of what we have.
And this is not going to eliminate jobs, it's going to help keep jobs, correct?
That is correct.
Can you tell me, in a nutshell, why them versus maybe some of the other folks that we looked at? Sorry to ask that in front of you, but
No, sir.
you're here, they're not. So
I want to hear the answer.
Just to kind of
Actually, there were, and I'll let Kim jump in, there were some features that they could provide that the other companies that we met with seemed a little less sure about. And so they have done this a lot. They have experience doing this, and we have a comfort level in that experience. They also have an amazing software system that our customers can log into, see what their usage is, compare their usage, stop usage, start usage, whatever they would need to do. It's a very extensive software system and allows the user to have responsibility in their water monitoring and usage. In addition, they in doing the trial and error of learning how to do this system, they have found the best way to do it, the best way to deploy it, and I believe they also have the availability to have meters quickly to set up for us. So we will not have to wait for that inventory to be ordered and arrive. We can pretty much, in certain sections, go ahead and hit the ground running. if you can jump in as well.
Sure, so one of the other benefits is that the servicing component after all of the infrastructure is deployed is going to be handled by Consolidated. It's not being farmed out to a third-party company that we would then have to have a relationship with as well. It is Scott and his team that will be taking care of us. So there's a definite comfort level in knowing that the same folks who are putting in the product are going to be the ones that we'll be relying on to take care of us.
And if there is an issue, it's not our issue, it's their issue.
That's
And they deploy people immediately to come and rectify said issue if there is one. So that they take full responsibility of operating these meters, and we can reallocate some current metering staff to other parts of our utility system to get some much needed work done that has not been able to be accomplished because we have not had the staff to do so. So I feel confident in this company. I feel confident in using this system. It will hopefully result in a zero-sum cost for the city, as this metering as a service is part of a service that we're providing our customers, and as such it will be included in our rates for our customers as they're using the system. And so it will help free up some funding to do some much needed infrastructure improvements that will allow our customers to have better service through our water system.
So we're taking some pretty broad strokes tonight.
We absolutely
And,
are, sir.
one of the things I know that we've talked about in the past, and there's been some pushback maybe, is a rate study. It's already been mentioned once tonight. I think it's a requirement for our wastewater treatment plan.
Yes,
So,
yes, sir.
and I know that's not included. That was one of the things the other firm was doing, but
Yes, sir.
so pretty ambitious presentation here on the work session.
Yes, sir.
And the thing too, with these AMI meters, when the customer has a broken water line, we'll know it a whole lot sooner than before.
Absolutely.
So,
The city will know it, but your customer's gonna know it as well. If they sign up for the app on their smartphone, then they're gonna get text alerts, email alerts as soon as they have a leak.
Yes.
If there's any backflow going through the meter, the city's gonna get alerts like that. There's a lot of customer service tools that your customers are really going to enjoy about this. It'll make their life easier, and it's gonna make your billing office's life easier.
And one other point is it will reduce our water loss ratio, which is
Yes.
extremely important.
Yes, ma'am.
It will help us identify very quickly, within an hour or so, where we have water loss happening, so that we can get out there or have our vendor get out there and rectify the issue. And that's extremely important, since water is such a valuable natural resource. We want to make sure that it's not being lost back into the ground. So.
Do you mind, for the benefit of the public, telling us a little bit about your company and your size and your history, and again, just a brief summary.
Certainly. Again, we're Consolidated Pipe and Supply. We're based out of Birmingham, Alabama. That's where we started. We've been in business for 60 years now, and we have 75 locations around the eastern United States, primarily concentrated in the southeast. We're a complete supplier for water, sewer, and natural gas materials for underground utilities. And in the state of Georgia, we have 8 different locations. Our closest one to Jasper is in Ackworth. That's where we store all of our meters. That's our main hub for everything meter related. So everything that comes in the ground from you guys would come out of Ackworth. I myself, as project, we've been master meter distributor for 15 years now in the state of Georgia. We're very comfortable with the product, not going anywhere with that. And as project manager, I live in Canton, so very close. We're able to respond quickly. One of our field techs actually lives in Cartersville, so we have people right around you guys that are able to be on the scene quickly, because y'all are putting a lot of responsibility on us, and you know, we stand behind this system 100%, and this is the best way for us to show you that.
My wife's from Birmingham, so you kind of got a slow start, but you recovered very well.
Yeah. Yep.
So the scope of the work that you're undertaking for us looks like approximately 6,239 meters
Correct.
installed. And can you speak to the time necessary to
Certainly.
start and complete that project?
Absolutely. Once granted permission by the city, we'll go ahead and start getting the construction phase ramped up. During that time, meters are not an issue. We have all those in stock. So during that time, we'll start programming to y'all's individual settings for, we've worked with your water department. We know what those settings need to be, so we'll start getting all that ready. We will also be ordering all of our necessary antennas to put on your elevated water tanks to collect these readings. And during that time, we will order a FCC frequency, a licensed frequency from the FCC. That takes about 4 to 6 weeks to get. So that's really the only holdup at the beginning of this project. Once we have our license from the FCC, then we can go ahead and proceed with all programming, getting up all of our infrastructure and implementing our software and integrating it into your billing system. Once the antennas are installed on your elevated water tanks, we will then come in and start changing out all the water meters. Before we change them out, let me back up just a little bit. During that implementation phase, we will also be going out to do an audit of your system, and we'll visit every single meter that's out there. We're going to record GPS locations, take note of any boxes, lids, anything like that that may be damaged that we need to go ahead and change out during that project, which we will do as part of the scope of this work. And then essentially, you know, we get infrastructure in, we start putting in the water meters. We need infrastructure in first, so that way the meters can start connecting to everything. At that point, we're going to go route by route, the same order that your meter readers read in. We're going to start right behind them, so that way they read this meter this month. We've started next month. They don't have to read that meter. That's taken off their list. So 6,300 meters, I would expect once installation phase begins, 6 to 8 weeks at the most for completion.
Weeks?
Yes, sir.
I know, I was looking.
Yes, sir.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yes, sir. Now that will begin after that initial 4 to 6 week period while we're waiting on the FCC.
All right.
We can do a lot of our auditing, get our software ready and all that during that time, but we can't put anything in the ground or up on your tanks yet because we need that
So this
frequency.
is going to take 6 months instead of 2 years or 3 years?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yes, sir. And I believe in the contract, we even put a completion period time. And I mean, that's a figure that we decided upon, and we even put liquidated damages in there per day if we go beyond that.
Well, let me tell you a curveball. What happens if the repeater goes out and you can't read your meters?
If
What's
the-
your backup plan?
Our backup plan, so with this system, it's an AMI system, meaning that it's going to send me readings back to the towers. Storm comes in, knocks out a tower, power goes out, whatever, then these meters have a backup drive-by system in them. So all we have to do is download your route to a laptop in our vehicle. We can drive around and collect those automated in that fashion. So we have a backup system built into it.
So you're talking about a small delay or no delay?
No delay. There would be no delay in delivering your meter reads. I mean, when you tell us we want them on the 15th or whatever date it is that y'all decide, that's the date that we're going to make sure that all your meters are read. Whatever's not connected to that network within a 1 to 2 day range is when we're going to go out and figure out why they're not connected, and we'll get readings while we're there, do whatever we have to do. We're guaranteeing to get you 100% of your meter readings on the date that you specify.
How often do you hold the meters?
Every 5 minutes.
Sonia,
Yes, they record hourly data, and twice a day, every 12 hours, that information, as it's collected from our main collection units, it's collected every 5 minutes, and then twice a day, it is uploaded via cellular backhaul to our software where the city would have access to it. So there's never anything in your system that's more than 12 hours old.
Would this also include zone meters?
Actually, we had not discussed that, but that's something that we are looking into, that we're going to add to this project that we can include in with this scope. So yes, sir, it will. That would require a little bit more engineering where we need to see a hydraulic model of the system to see how your feeds are feeding the system.
Sonia,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Siphon has expressed maybe, I don't want to call them concerns.
Yes,
but he
sir.
was-
So, and I emailed him back and said, the tool by which, Consolidated presented their quote to us was via in contract form. So tonight, we're asking city council to approve the vendor and the rate that is in that tool, not necessarily the contract until it's been vetted through our city council, as to our city attorney. So that what we're looking for approval tonight is on the vendor and the rate approved, not necessarily the contract. The contract will obviously have to go through legal.
And you're comfortable with this fitting our purchasing regulations?
Yes,
It was bid
sir.
out, you said you talked to.
Yes, sir. We spoke to 3 companies per our procurement.
We actually spoke with
4 companies per our procurement. Yes, I'm comfortable with it. Also, in your packet, they provided a breakdown if the city wanted to do it ourselves. So that you could see the price tag on that versus the price tag on doing it professional service way. So just wanted to provide you with all the data necessary to make your decision.
Thank you for being so precise.
Thank you.
But no, thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. No, thank you. Thanks for no
Absolutely.
thanks.
So,
Kirk, you okay?
So Mayor and Council, I do have a few comments, and I do appreciate the presenters from Consolidated Pipe being present. They did mention one of 2 groups that I would like to talk about. The group that they mentioned are our meter readers. It is important for us as an organization to honor and value all of those within our organization. I would ask that this body and the administration make sure that the individuals impacted by the implementation of any technology certainly sit down and discuss plans for the future, what that may look like. We have discussed capital improvement plans, so let's just, for this sake, call it capital employment plans. They want to make sure that they have employment. We want them to be employed. We take pride in our employees, so please make sure, city manager, assistant city manager, that we are doing our best to educate and really be on the same page with all of those that this will include. The second group of individuals is the general public. The general public may or may not understand all of the details laid out in tonight's meeting. It is our burden to bear that we educate the general public and give them the details necessary to feel comfortable that the city is making the right move to go into the future with this process. I'm very excited about it. I just want to make sure that those 2 groups specifically are met where they are and discussed thoroughly so they have an understanding.
yes, sir.
Good points, Kirk.
Good points.
Yes, thank you.
And to that, I don't think that we have, I know that we have some openings right now in our city that we have not been able to fill for the last, at least 1 year that I can remember from my memory, and maybe even longer, but we're looking for good people, and we've already got these people hired. I don't see them going away. They're a great asset to us, so that'll happen. So, any further discussion by council on this? Any questions? Then what we're doing tonight is we're going to approve Consolidated as a vendor and approve their rate schedule that they have given us. And then we will move to full contract after our attorney has had an occasion to review. Is that satisfactory with your company?
Yes, sir.
Can you start with that?
Yes, sir, very much.
Does that suit what
Yes,
you
sir.
need?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so council, I did entertain.
You would also, I'm sorry, new meters, that would be part of your service.
Yeah.
Yes, oh, absolutely, yes, sir. And actually, new meters after the contract date, the service is actually at a reduced price because the labor and the materials that are also included in that finance are no longer part of that. So it's just a service after that.
Council, this is a great step for our city. We have taken other steps previously that by putting in infrastructure necessary in City Hall administration to do exactly what we need to do here. Thank the council for what they have done for that, and at this time I would entertain a motion to approve this vendor and this rate. That would be consolidated and their rate schedule to go forward with this project.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, and anything further from council?
No, sir.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, and the motion carried unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank
very
y'all for
much.
moving
Great
forward
job.
because we have
Thanks,
talked
Sonia.
about.
Doing a good
this
job
for
for us, we
years.
need it.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all.
We will.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Parker said this is a great night.
Well, we've talked about these for a long time.
We have.
We've talked
For
about a lot
years.
of this, trying to move forward, so I appreciate them getting on it and getting some of this done.
Now, Sonia, I think I'm down to number 5.
Yes, sir, you
I'll make sure
are.
that I'm on the right one.
Yes, sir, you are, and this is my favorite one. I'm very
Okay, the
excited
City of
about
Jasper's
this.
branding project.
This is near and dear to my heart.
Near and dear to your heart.
I've done several of these. We would like for City Council to consider and approve City of Jasper branding project so that we can create and promote the city as a destination, not just a seal on the door. There are lots of advantages to having a branding project. Besides creating it as a destination, it gives you the opportunity to, when tourists and visitors and even citizens come to the city, it gives your city a personality and a face and something to adhere to and to be proud of and cheerlead. As I said, I've done several of these in cities in the past where I've come from. This particular vendor has proposed to us that they would conduct a half-day brand ethos workshop and bring community members, citizens, council, everyone together and get a common theme. And then they would take that theme and then they would paint a picture of what we would look like as a city. We would brand, we would get behind that, we would logo and tagline that, and then our departments would be created their own mini brands below the one global brand of the city. So I'm asking that council consider and approve 9 labs with Jay Cornelius at the lead. Many of you know him. He is the owner of the wine establishment. He also is affiliated with this international company. He has said that he can brand the city for around $25,000. And I'm asking that City Council consider this and approve it, because I want it so bad.
Really good reason.
Well,
And now's a good time to do it before we get all this other stuff.
Council for purposes of
Surprised it wasn't number one.
I'll entertain a motion.
Anyway, so,
For purposes of discussion, I will entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the branding project.
And I need a second, please.
second.
And now, discussion, council.
Spent some time with Jay yesterday at Rotary, as y'all know. Very sharp individual, it was, I got a little too proud maybe and was singing our praises in public, which was some people probably perceived as being a braggart, but at the same time, we don't often get the kind of positive feedback that he was given about some of the wonderful things that are happening here, and look forward to getting to know him much better.
And I think that's a great idea to bring the community together and counsel, everybody for the Brandon project. So you get everybody's ideas and kind of have somebody that says, okay, this will help, this will work, this will.
Any further discussion? I will also add to that I've known Mr. Cornelius since he first decided he wanted to be in our city, and I have found him to be quite intelligent. His company, I did have an internet company at one time. It was in Jasper, Georgia. He has an office in Atlanta and an office in Amsterdam. So I found out in a hurry he knows a lot more than I do about marketing, and I'm so happy to have him as a potential for our city. I think he will help us not just in this, but in other things going forward. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Please let the record show that the motion is unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Just for you.
Thank you very much.
We have a city cabinet update, and that has some interest to us for what we're trying to do with our one of our departments going forward. So Sonia, if you will, please.
Yes, Mayor and City Council. So we currently have a cabin right off of 515, right underneath a very large water tower, which is why I'm assuming that the city owns a cabin, because we needed the property to put said water tower. And this cabin, unbeknownst to us or the city when it was purchased, is a great resource for us, in so much as our current fire chief doesn't have a place to live until we get some more developments in town. So we would like to be able to put our current fire chief in this cabin, but the cabin only has a half bath. And so I am presenting to City Council, coming to you to request that we upgrade the bathroom within this cabin so it is an inhabitable cabin, and that he wouldn't have to go to the local truck stop to clean up. And in addition,
He wants the fire department upgraded, he wants the cabin upgraded,
in addition,
right?
This cabin had sustained some injury in the past and had lost one of its the only bedroom within the cabin. And what we would like to do is have a construction person put some walls back up so there could be at least a private bedroom in there as well. And so we have reached out to numerous vendors, and numerous vendors have said we're too busy for that size of project. So we did finally get a vendor who actually did our municipal courtroom, and he said that he would do that for us. As a part of this, whoever in the past built the cabin put an electrical wall where said shower would go. So we need to relocate the electricity out of the shower area, as that could be detrimental. And so this person would move the electrical box and refurbish the bathroom and put a wall in for bedrooms for $15,000. And I'm requesting that City Council approve this so that our fire chief can stop sleeping on the floor in his office.
So moved.
I agree. To approve this expenditure, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion by council?
Is this a set price, or do we need to give you a little wiggle room and
So I believe this
protect
is,
our investments?
I have given the strictest directive that the upgrades and changes to this cabin need to fit the feel of the cabin and be very like it was done from the beginning. So I feel like that this is a high end of the quote. If it comes in because of materials more, then I'll obviously alert city council of that. But I think $15,000 should quite adequately take care of that. I think the largest cost of that is going to be moving that electricity and moving those out of the area that it is in currently. So.
Council, I believe we have a motion in a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. And let the record show that the motion carried unanimously. Thank you. At this time, we are going to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing real estate. So I'm going to have to ask that our media shut down and all of that go away. And I need to ask everyone to go at this point. And I greatly appreciate your coming.
Motion to go out and go into executive session.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? We're now in executive session.